Welcome to this episode of SBJ Executive Insights. We're here at Thought Leaders Retreat, and I'm joined by Irwin Kishner, partner, co-chair of the corporate department, co-chair of the sports law group at Herrick Feinstein. Irwin, thanks so much for joining us. You and I go way back. You see so many things. Before we get into some of the trends you're watching, talk a little bit about the sports law group and what you offer.
Well, hey, first off, I would tell you, thank you very, very much for inviting me to this fantastic Thought Leaders Conference. It's something that I always look forward to and find tremendous value from the Herrick vantage. It's really a place where we can share thoughts and gather, and I'm tremendously grateful for being here. To talk a little bit about Herrick Feinstein, we've been in the sports business now for about 6 decades. We started with combat sports, that's mostly boxing, and evolved into ultimate fighting, but we're way, way more than that these days. We represent teams or ownership in all of the major leagues. We represent many of the industry verticals, from media companies, private equity companies that invest in sports, to concession companies, to high-tech companies, to traditional lenders and ownership transfers and the like. It's quite a diverse practice. We have about 35 lawyers full-time in the practice, all aspects. So it's really one of our crown jewels at the firm.
So from your purview, you're seeing a lot of interesting trends. Let's talk about some of the ones we're seeing. Certainly, facility development's been one that you and I have talked about for years.
Facility development is something that's really taking steam and taking hold now in the United States. I've read recently, I think it was from a Deloitte report, that there are about 350 new buildings going up around the world, and over half of those are in the United States. What you're seeing now is a trend that's been around now for probably close to a decade. But you see these multi-purpose developments where you have the anchor tenant being a sports team, where you have a beautiful stadium and a beautiful arena, and around it you develop retail, hospitality, entertainment, and it really becomes a place for people to be and places to go year-round. And that's something that we've been quite involved with at the firm.
They're audience anchors. They bring people together and they aggregate people in one spot. And now it's almost like you need these. They're almost mandatory when teams are thinking about their development.
It is somewhat mandatory. I mean, but the reason it's mandatory is because of the underwritten success that you're seeing all around the country. I mean, we've been involved with projects all around the country, from SoFi to the Battery in Atlanta to up in Belmont, where the Belmont Stakes are being held. It's really a wonderful tale when you see this kind of infrastructure being developed, this kind of economic activity, job creation, and the like. It really becomes 1 + 1 = 3, Abe.
And how much pressure or outlook is there on making these projects sustainable, environmentally friendly?
Sustainability and environmental impact is always a consideration in today's world. So for example, we're working on projects now that have a very limited carbon footprint, where the ideal is to, in the next year or 2 or 3 or 4, to become carbon neutral. And a lot of these stadiums and arenas, particularly with the renovations that you're going in, are really, you think about the environmental impact and how to manage that as best as possible.
So trend number one, certainly stadium development, mixed use development. Another trend that we write about every day in SBJ, Irwin, new leagues. It's almost like every week there's the start of a new sports league.
Yeah, we've had the good fortune of being involved with several of these, as you call them, new leagues. And it really is taking root. The traditional sports is alive and well, don't get me wrong, but there are many, many aspects now where people the eyeballs of people are being attracted to these new leagues. Call it from golf to bowling to lacrosse. To parkour. I mean, it's 3-on-3 basketball. These are all new, exciting leagues that are emerging and frankly are doing well.
I would say, though, I always tell people starting a new league or any startup league is not for the faint of heart. A lot of challenges when it comes to that. What are some of the challenges you see and how do you get around them?
Well, there's always the challenge of proving the value proposition and whether you're going to attract enough eyeballs. And of course, there's the local governmental issues in any of these, whether it's going to be in the United States or overseas. You were talking, for example, establishing baseball over in the UAE. there's a lot of governmental approvals that need to be happen. Here in the United States, you've seen the success of many of these, the Golf League, Live Golf. These leagues are here and they're here to stay. But yes, there's always the challenge of getting through the initial inertia and making sure that you have the wherewithal to continue through that initial period of time to ultimate success.
And Irwin, when I talk to these people like you, they all want to draw from a younger audience. They all want to attract a younger generation of sport fan.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
The millennials, the Gen A's, the Gen X's, the Gen Y's are all into action, and they want action-packed, and they want to see it, and they want to have, if you will, immediate gratification. So you're seeing things like BMX now become a league. You're seeing skiing and the half pipe becoming events now. It's all driven by a younger audience that's way more interested in getting the action and getting the results as quickly as possible.
So we've talked about stadium development, mixed use. We've talked about the start of new leagues. Give us another trend, probably AI related or something that must touch your world often.
Well, AI is prevalent. I mean, it is certainly one of the major issues that all leagues and teams and businesses are, including myself and my law firm, are dealing with. How generative AI or predictive AI is going to work in the context of sports. And it's replete. And obviously, there's the wearable technology, and there's the ability of cameras to pick up rotations on balls. There's the abilities of cameras and AI to pick up the rotation of the way a pitcher throws a pitch. All of this has profound issues. And from our vantage, we're always dealing with privacy and who owns the data. That's not fully settled yet. We have issues of copyright and ownership of does it belong? Is it licensable? There's privacy issues replete through all these. So these are issues that we're working through. And then there's obviously the ability of actually using this data. At what point does it become not productive to the league, not fostering? Does it foster an opportunity for the haves and the have-nots to separate even further, or is it something that's more of making people even? So there's a lot of issues associated with AI that we're seeing and we're dealing with as we talk right now.
In the college space, which has been the most disrupted, I think we've talked about likeness and image and name all the time. Certainly that's impacted by AI usage.
Name, image, and likeness, particularly with the new NCAA settlement, is very implicated with all this. Question is, do the colleges own the data? Right. Do the athletes own the data? And then you get a whole nother area with deep fakes of AI also, the ability to replicate and get these sponsorships that are for people. So net, it's a world that we're going to sort through in the next couple of years.
3 great trends that we just talked about. Anything else, or the final word that you have as we close out our discussion? Anything else you're watching or keeping your eye on closely?
I think the last thing to just mention, Abe, would be the ability of private equity these days to invest in sports. What we're seeing from a lot of our clients now are these opportunities to take their money and to place them into productive uses where sports are the beneficiaries of these dollars. And we're seeing it all over, from the fundamental of women's sports. We're seeing it in college sports, places where private equity traditionally did not venture into is now happening, and that's another very interesting trend that's out there.
And you see that trend continuing?
Absolutely.
Because I
see it continuing for 2 reasons. One is because the market itself is ever growing. It's constantly expanding, and there's more and more value to be mined from it. And second, the valuations of teams are getting to such an astronomical level now in the sports themselves, is that you need that dry powder, that dry cash, the ability to deploy capital in the way only a private equity can. So it makes sense.
What would be a headwind facing franchise valuations continuing to increase?
I think there's 2 headwinds. One is the legalization of wagering and making sure that does not take a turn it goes backwards.
Right.
And there is always that possibility because there's 50 state legislatures that are mining that. The second thing is the ability of media to continually, if you will, and I say this in a favorable way, exploit the eyeballs that are coming in, to getting that continual interest. That's another thing. Will younger people will continue to be as interested in sports as they remain today?
Because the media dollars were key to underpinning franchises and league operations, and those media rights led to the increase of a lot of these franchise valuations.
Absolutely. Look at the latest basketball contract, 10 years. The amount of the differential between the two contracts is enormous. And if that valuation trend continues, you're going to continue to see increased valuations in the franchise. If it doesn't, who knows?
Right. Well, there's no lack of stories or themes or issues to deal with in the sports business circa 2025. So we really appreciate you sharing your insights with us on this SBJ Executive Insight.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here, Abe, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I can assure you that my subscription is renewed.
I appreciate that. Thank you.